Hi, this is Bill Lindemann. I'm here with Mike Siver and Carrie Sluiter from Blue Seahorse and the Believers Business Center, respectively. And today we're going to talk about time management. And Mike, you have a chapter in your book, What Role Did I Play? Volume 2.
Yep.
Is that right, on time management?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I thought I would invite Carrie Sluiter along tonight.
Good.
To talk about time management, because she's run a successful, and I believe is still running a successful cleaning business, as well as the Believers Business Center. And you can't do that if you don't manage your time. And I put managing personal time is your personal ethics, your personal integrity. Am I going to be punctual or not punctual? Do I value the other person enough to be on time for them? They made an appointment with me. It's my obligation to meet that time. If I respect them, or maybe I want business from them, or just want to show that I have ethics, I'll turn up on time.
Yeah.
And I like to read from the first page of chapter of time management. It says, "Don't ever say you did not have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Louis Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. What did these people do that a lot of us don't? The thing they did was organizing and managing their time. Not just every now and then, but on a consistent and regular basis. How many times have we said, there isn't enough time for me to get it done, honey. I'll finish it tomorrow." And that's where it starts. And if you're allowed to do that, finish it tomorrow, then that becomes a behavior. And that's what I do, and that's what I talk about.
Okay.
And Carrie has the same philosophy, and I'm going to turn it over to Carrie right now to get some of her input into this, because I know she has a strong feeling about this.
All right.
So we're going to go from there.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, time management, running the businesses as I have, and at one point, I had 56 commercial accounts for apartment complexes only, and manage those accounts. But in today's world, in my life today, I also have 5 children in my home that I'm running and managing. And with the businesses, the time that we spend sometimes thinking about and not organizing our time or keeping our priorities set is a big factor. So I think it's really important for people to take the time to stay focused and have a set goal in mind. So I just think that your subject is amazing. When I go back to time management for me, I have people every day say, "I don't know how you do it all, Carrie. I don't know how you do this." Well, staying focused. I see people sitting back, and for 6 hours will go by, and they've accomplished nothing. Where if you take 30 minutes of that and stayed focused diligently on a project, you can have that project done. You still have 5.5 or 6 hours to enjoy, but you have something accomplished. So that's one of my philosophies. And I look around at people who do spend a lot of wasted time. And, if you sit around and wait for somebody else to do something, you sit around in a pile this big. I liked what you said earlier, Mike, about the woman who just quit on her family. She's what did you say?
Well, there's a story. There's a couple of stories a couple of years ago about women who were tired of being the slave.
Yeah.
And working in their home, and working outside of the home, coming home, prepare the meal, wash the clothes, clean the house, blah, 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 all the way through. And these two women went on strike. And one of them, as a coincidence, go Carrie,
I'm like, go girl.
one of them, as a coincidence, the father apparently years ago had built a really luxurious treehouse for the kids. Well, she moved into the treehouse. Except for her bathroom routine, she lived in a treehouse. She would not go in the house for anything. She cooked, ate, and slept in the treehouse. And they gave in. The family come out begging. They kept saying, oh, she'll come down, she'll come down.
Right.
She wasn't coming down until after, I think it was, she was up there like 35 days or something. And they had to wash their own clothes. They had to do everything. She took hers to the cleaners, had them clean all the time. And another woman did the same thing. She went to a hotel. And she just set up camp in a hotel. And she didn't have to go to the house at all. Phone calls every day. Where's this? Where's that? Where's this? We need the soap. We need the dishes. Where's the pots? Where's the pans? They didn't have a clue. And their time management was, let mom do it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work in the long run. And so many women get so frustrated. And sometimes I don't know how they deal with it.
Well, that goes back to how good are they at managing their time? They still manage to do the bookkeeping, pay the bills, go to the store, and get the groceries, and do the laundry, and they're still taking out the trash because the men walked past it 4 times.
Yep.
So what is this saying? The woman obviously or the person who is handling the majority of the household chores is the one that is managing their time. But how fair is it for someone to have that much free time on their hands while the other person takes care of their needs? And if all of us, as a collective family or business people,
Right.
if everyone works together, manages their time, and stays focused on the task at hand, and everybody can sit down and rest at the same time. I find that there's times when I'm up doing laundry all night while everybody's sleeping. I go to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've got baskets of laundry, and they'll take it and throw it on the dresser because they need the basket for something. And so I manage my time, but how do you get other people to understand the importance of managing their time, and also looking at how is your time helping other people to stay focused and be on time? I told you earlier about someone who was in my life way early on. I was pretty young, didn't really know how the importance of time was until this man. I was early. I was on time for every business appointment I had, but I didn't have that same respect for a person or friend. I kind of took liberty with that friendship label. And after being late a number of times, this guy said to me one day, this is not acceptable. I'm done with this. And I looked at him like, what? You're stealing my time. I had never heard that terminology before. But when he said that to me, it took me back a second. But I said, I'm not stealing your time. What are you talking about? He said, no, the 15 minutes that I've sat here waiting for you every time you're late is my time. Maybe I could have stopped at the store and picked up milk and bread and eggs on the way, knowing that you were going to be 15 minutes later. So you stole my time. It wasn't mine to do with what I wanted. I had to sit here waiting for you. I was on time. You stole from me, and that's disrespect. And that cut me to the chase. I mean, it was an eye-opener for me. And from that point on, I said it to my dad one day. I said, you stole my time. He goes, what? So he learned from that too. And it does make a point that when we're not punctual, or when we're not working together with other people who are managing their time, they're managing to get their stuff done. And then how we manage our time is either contributing to or taking away from that other person. So we do need to realize in our lives, everyone needs to really look at time from a different perspective. How you manage your time is how successful you're going to be. running a business. I ran 3 businesses. I wrote a book. Mike, you know what it takes to write a book.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
Yeah.
when you sit down and write a book and still manage your family, do your
Sure.
dishes, don't mess up their world. You know, don't let the laundry get behind.
Yeah, yeah.
But still write a book in a year. A year and 2 months, my book was on the shelf. That's a lot of hours in those.
Yep.
And writing a book. But you manage your time, and it put that into what I was already doing. Now, when you take on something new in life, you have to manage your time better. Now I have daycare appointments, or foster care appointments, and taking the kids for their well child exams, and the list goes on and on. So all those things add to the time. How do I handle it? Well, there's days when I don't think I do very well, but in spite of, you know, with everything I have on my plate, it's amazing that I'm doing it at all. So staying focused, I guess, is the most important key. Keeping your priorities in order, having your eye on the goal. You know, we had talked about earlier.
Right.
You know, about we don't stay on task. I think that's what the next part of your book says here somewhere. We don't stay on task. Do you recall that? Yeah, I think it's.
Try and figure it out somewhere in there.
Yeah. Well, you would say we
Yeah.
don't stay on task. We have our agenda, but we screw it up.
Yeah.
We don't stay on task. Too many little things pull us off the agenda. A phone call. You can get a phone call. I get up in the morning and I have 50 things to do running through my mind, and the phone rings, and it's a family member, and you want to talk to them, and you're, oh, you know, you don't want to be mean, you don't want to be rude, but you have in your agenda, well, there goes that time. So sometimes when things come up, if we make sure we say, you know, I really shouldn't do this right now. Can I call you back after work hours today, after the kids get home and are in bed? Can I call you back later? So do we manage our time, or does the world manage us with our time?
That's the big question.
That's
It
the
always
big
is a big
question.
question. And you
So,
take the people I mentioned earlier in the book, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, Albert Einstein, you know, there's a saying goes that if you value your daily endeavors, people will know you by your name. Everything you do has your name on it. All of us, people know when they talk to us or they talk about us in a group that we may not even be in. It's either positive or negative, or can we train that person? People who talk about Mike Siver when he's not there, it's either he can bring a lot to the party, he can bring a lot to our discussion, or don't invite him, we're going to have some problems if we do. Your name precedes you. There's people out there that I don't even know who know my name, who know your name, and who know your name. And we're known by our name, and that's our personal integrity. And we get that by representing ourselves properly. If we talk about, as we talked today, the topic is time management. If I'm always late, then that's going to be my name.
Yes.
Next to Mike Siver is going to be always late.
Oh, that's the guy that's always late.
That's the guy that's always late. Don't hire him. Don't talk to him. Don't bring him in. Or if he's on time, you know, at least he's got some work ethics. He'll be on time. I know when I was younger, when I was first starting out looking for work, I went to a car yard where you sold parts and cars and all this kind of stuff. And the guy said, your job is working from 8 to 5, but you'll be here at 7:45, and you're not leaving till 5:15, but you're not getting paid for that half hour. I said, why not? He said, I want you to be able to work at 8 o'clock, not come in and find out what's going on and waste a whole bunch of time, my time, be like stealing his time.
Right.
If I turn up at 8 o'clock and there's transactions going on, sales being done, the other guys have already worked an 8-hour shift. They want to go home. So now I'm wasting their time trying to figure out what's going on before I take over the shift. I'm wasting time. And that's why he said, in this company, you'll be 15 minutes early. You'll ask all the questions, get all the paperwork done. At 8 o'clock, you punch in, you go to work.
I was reminded of that on my job. I was told, he didn't tell me to be there 15 minutes early. He said, I'm always here early, and I'm ready. When the store opens, I'm ready. And I learned something just from listening to him, because I didn't realize, he was right. He's right.
Well, now I'm since this person brought that to my attention, now it's if you're not 5 minutes early, you're 10 minutes late.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Plus, if you're making a number of people wait, that compounds the waste.
Exactly.
The cost
Sure,
involved.
the cost, sure.
And we have to put value on our time and value on their time. I think a lot of people value their own time, their own commitment. But when we let other people down, as Carrie describing with her friend, we don't value their time.
That's true.
We're not showing appreciation for their quality or their time or whatever they're doing, and that also attaches our name to that.
Yeah.
So we find our names getting attached to a whole lot of things we don't want it attached to. But we don't have control over that unless we have some work ethics, some personal integrity that, as Carrie said, if I say I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 5 o'clock.
That's right.
And like Carrie, maybe it's an older person thing, but I'm always early. If I'm late, something major has gone wrong.
Right.
Somewhere down the tracks, and then I call. I do a lot of as you know, I have my own client counseling business, and what I don't like are the clients who no call, no show, or they're already late, then they call, say they're going to be later. That makes me wonder what kind of integrity they've got, and most of them wouldn't come and see me if they didn't have to anyway.
Yeah.
So they don't value my time at all. They only value their time. But we do discuss it about time management and time value of why they're late, because I'm the one who writes the report that goes back to the judge to see if they get off probation or their probation gets extended. So if they're not out trying to impress me or another counseling service or another counselor, they need to think again about what I'm assigning to their name, because that's important.
Here's something that you say in here, if we learn at an early age to plan and manage our time daily, we would find we are much more productive daily. And as we grow up and take on bigger and more complicated tasks, this is huge. I see this as, and this is, I really want to talk about this because I see it having 5 new children come into a home.
Wow.
All at once from different directions. You think they want to put their shoes where you tell them, shoes go here. I mean, I have a box for off season. These are the ones you wear just today. These go here. The other ones go there. And, I was saying earlier, I have actually, if I sat and calculated how much time I waste looking for the kids' shoes, or they spend looking for their shoes, we're not managing our time if we're not organized. If a man always puts his billfold in his back pocket, most of them have a spot in their jeans where they wear their billfold because it's always in the same place. If you have a routine and you always put your coat in the same spot, it's right where to go. It's routine. You get in the car, you go to the car, you open the door the same. If you every time you had to figure out how to get in the car, how much time, if you calculated that time spent outside of the car before you start it, and then you got to fumble through keys if you don't know which key it is. Well, I can relate this to business, to my janitorial.
Right.
Now, my janitorial, when I first go into a building and I would clean the whole building, it would take twice as long to clean it the first few times. The little things in routine, you start developing a routine. Start at this end this time. Oh, well, you start finding a faster, more effective way to do things. But you would be amazed at how much longer it takes to clean that building when you don't know where the light switches are, when you don't know where the plug-ins are for your vacuum cleaners. You don't know where the trash bags are. How did they put that basket back under there? Your time is money at that point.
Yep.
Your time is valuable. You spend twice as long. Come summer or come winter time, they start throwing out the salt. You know you're going to be an extra hour, and you know where that salt's going to be. You know the whole path. So
Right.
you adjust your time management. When you're going there in the winter, you automatically add, I'm going to be there another hour. You don't still go in at the same amount of time and try to get out at the same time. You manage your time for your sleep. You're getting there out early enough to get it done right, because you don't want to have it not get done right. So you allow your time to change. But the biggest key there is how much more time it takes when you're not organized or when you don't have a routine or a system. Once you get that routine or system, a job that I go in the first couple of times cleaning it takes 4 or 5, 6 hours.
Sure.
Within 6 months, I can clean that job in 20 minutes to an hour at the most. That's depending on whether it's winter or summer. And behind myself, somebody else went and cleaned that building, I would be automatically an extra 20 to 30 minutes just because I wasn't sure that they got behind that plant yesterday.
Yes,
So
sure.
I'm looking for what they may have not done. But when I clean it, there's such a routine and a system, and I'm so focused that you don't miss anything because I know what I did last night. I know what needs to be done tonight. Working behind yourself.
Good point, sure.
So that falls into place with managing your office or managing your home. Even if you think about your bathroom or your kitchen at home, where you put things away. If every time the kids put away the dishes and they put them in a different place, and you've got to go looking for them, how long is it going to take you to cook a meal if you need 5 pans and they're all in different cupboards?
Yeah.
This.
Sure.
Do you remember me talking about my ex-husband he had such a routine of putting things when he was such a stickler. He would have 5 minutes to get to work in the morning when he'd get up. So at night he'd have his belt all wound up here, and he'd have everything in its place. His billfold here, and everything was right where he knew he could jump out of bed, and go to the shower, and come back. He'd put it all on, and out the door he went. And he would pick up things behind me, and I got frustrated with it. So I said, okay, I'm going to teach him a lesson. So one night I took all of his stuff and I put his belt over here, and everything was in different places. I even put his shoes out on the porch, And so he woke up that morning and he was like, "Where is my belt? Where is it?" He was going nuts. He was so upset, and I'm just like, "Well, it's over there. It's over there." So to make a long story short, he comes home and he says, "What was that all about?" I said, "I just wanted to show you what it was like when you pick up and put my stuff away where I don't know where it's at."
Sure.
Point being that routine, you mess with somebody's routine.
Right.
Most people in today's world, we're running in such chaos. We're so overwhelmed with busy, trying to survive, trying to get by, struggling with the kids that are disobedient, and trying to keep a house picked up, screaming at kids to pick up their shoes, that we lose track of if we take a step back and manage our world and manage the things that are costing us the most stress. Getting a hold on that and getting a routine, and that will help a lot of people. So this is a great chapter, a great subject in your book.
I think a big part of it too is holding yourself accountable,
Yeah,
because we have to be accountable for our actions.
yep,
And if we're late all the time, how many excuses are we going to have to be late? Eventually they get tired.
yeah.
People get tired of them.
of the excuses.
And if you think they're believing you, you're fooling yourself. You need to go look in a mirror, talk to a mirror, because nobody else believes you but you. So, it all comes back to us and accountability and responsibility. And while you were talking about your management of your time, was for a while I was a fence builder, and I used to build domestic fences between houses. And I learned very quickly, you never make a trip from one end of the property to the other end without carrying something.
Right.
Yes.
If you go to the back end to put your string line in to find the boundary, you carry a fence post, you carry a rail, you carry some palings, you carry something back there every single time. And when you get ready to string line your fence, the material's laid out. You don't have to waste time making extra trips now. You
Right.
never go anywhere without carrying something.
Right.
Pure time management. And then it goes with your name, the quality. I got a fairly good reputation of being an effective and efficient fence builder.
Sure.
I'm glad I didn't do it too long because it's hard work, but I enjoyed the management of it and doing it correctly. And we got to remember about our integrity too.
But one of the things that you made me think about is when I would go in to clean a building behind one of my employees, I would get so frustrated. One of the first things I would do is train them even how to roll up the vacuum cleaner cord. Oh my gosh, you go into a job and they've got the cord all twisted, and everybody wants to put that thing on differently. Wind it around this way and wind it around that way. Well, it wears out the cords, but also you spend 10 minutes trying to get it untangled, trying to get it laid straight and all that stuff. The way I would do it is start at the vacuum cleaner and like this and pull it towards. Always start at the vacuum and work my way out and let it spin, and it would always line up.
Right.
And I'd hang it up over the hook. When I took it down, I could take it, plug it into the wall, lay it on the floor and go. Never a tangle. I would go in there and I would, spending so much wasted time working behind, and I go in after telling them and showing them, go back in and find it the same way.
You know, and it gets back to listening too.
It goes back to team players in a world that, we're complaining because our worlds are not comfortable. You've got frustrations in different areas, whether it's in the workplace or in the home. If everyone is working on the same page, you find who has the best way to do it, watch what they're doing and say either yes or no, and everybody do things the same way. That's a way of managing your whole family's time,
But it's the same thing when you get back to your business. You did your business. You were successful enough to employ another person and maybe another person after that. And the only way you could do that because what you were doing works.
Right.
What you were doing, the way you were doing it was profitable and financial success, so you could afford to hire somebody else. They need to understand if what you're doing works. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Right.
Stick to what works when you're in that kind of business. Now, if you're starting your own business, you're going to experiment for a while till you find what works, and it may be a lot of different ways. But in the meantime, like when I was building the fence, I knew what worked and was successful, and I trained people to come along to do it the same way.
Right.
Therefore, that made them successful. And that's how we carry on the building up of our name, because our name is all we've got. I tell people, when you're born, your parents put your name on your birth certificate. When you die, it goes on your tombstone. Everything else is everything else in the middle is your name.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's how people know you.
Yeah.
And we have to represent ourselves.
Well, don't forget that our name also goes in the book of life.
Yes.
So in that book will be opened and revealed, and everything we've done in between time is in that book. It's kind of like we're writing today's Bible. Picture that.
Again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Today's world.
I
Today's
can't help
disciples.
but think, I know we're getting close to the end of this show, but I can't help but think as you're talking how really important it is to be a good parent and to teach your children.
Yeah.
As they're growing up. They should know that from as early as they can understand the first things they do.
Routine, yeah.
Routine, yeah.
That's a good point to bring up towards the end of the show, because it's real important having 5 children. If they're growing up not having a clue about management of time, how much time am I wasting picking up your shoes? And then you wonder why I don't have time to take you to the park.
Yeah.
It's important for us to teach them routine. Routine is so important.
But there's another cute little saying out there that says, you should learn from other people's mistakes because you can't live long enough to make them all yourself.
Right.
Why is that the truth? That is the truth.
You have to learn from other people's mistakes and learn to listen. Learn to listen about time management, quality time. And that's how we become successful. That's how we get where we're at, and we get a good name for ourselves. And it starts, like you said, Bill, when you're young.
Yeah.
Parents teach you ethics and integrity. When you do what you say what you do. And then that follows on, and manage yourself. You learn time management when you're young is not important. but doing what you say is,
Yeah.
and say what you do is. That becomes a valuable thing, and then that goes into ethics and integrity as you get older.
Well, this has been a terrific show. I mean, I'm ready to go another half hour. But
Yeah, that's a.
but it's
yeah.
fascinating. So, I mean, it's very important. So, that's great. I hope we can continue this subject soon.
Well, we've got some more of them, and I've got another book just about finished, so we're going to have some more to
Okay.
talk about. So
this is the Blue Seahorse Show with Mike Siver and our guest. Yep, that's what happens when you don't turn it
yeah.
on. And our guest, Carrie Sluiter from Believers Business Center, and we'll see you next week.